Lady Lewisham, what do you think about our teenagers?
I think they're splendid. I'm always very bored with people who say, oh, young people aren't what they were in my day.
So who were the apples of Lady Lewisham's aristocratic eye?
We were the Sex Pistols of 1958.
We played in coffee bars, singing and playing guitars, and then we formed several groups.
In 1958, Geordie guitarist Brian Rankin met Harry Webb's manager in a club in swinging Soho. By then, of course, he was Hank, and Harry was Cliff.
He said to Hank, I've got this singer called Cliff Richard and we're going to do this tour and I need a lead guitar player. Would you be interested in, and Hank said, well, I'll do it if my mate can come along.
We got on the bus and we went off to where he lived in a council house with his parents.
And we just jammed together, and it was obvious. We gelled as people, we gelled musically. They liked doing what I liked doing, and it was a go from the start.
They started out as the Drifters, but the name was already taken. By the time they were rocking the Royals, Hank and the boys had gone all dark and mysterious.
We went through every name you could think of, the Zephyrs, the Zodiacs, and I suddenly said Shadows.
Wherever we went, crowds would be there. And you have to remember, this is pre-Beatles. Everyone thinks that sort of thing happened with the Beatles. Well, I'm really sorry, but it did. It started with us.
So Cliff had all these women screaming and shouting, but all the guys wanted to be in the Shadows. The guys were wearing horn-rimmed glasses, obviously no glass in them, because they wanted to be like Hank.
I saw Hank, got to get his autograph, and I chased after him. And he just kept running, and I just kept running, and it was just this strange thing where the world seemed to fade away, and we were just, the two of us, just running. And I was totally non-threatening, I was just a little kid, but he eventually stopped and went, oh, all right, and he gave me his autograph.
Soon, Hank had even more axe appeal.
Cliff said, I want to buy a really good guitar, so we thought, well, Buddy Holly uses a guitar like this. We found out it was a Fender Stratocaster.
I'd already got a pink jacket that I'd sort of designed for myself, and the pink guitar seemed to be the right thing. And so I think I was the first person to bring a Strat into the country.
In those days, you couldn't buy new American instruments. There was an import ban. You had to order them direct from the States, which we did.
We opened it up and laid it on the floor and stood gazing at it. We'd only ever seen this in pictures.
It was just wonderful. Hank picked it up, and obviously the fretboard, the whole design of the guitar suited his play. And he created the Shadows sound on that guitar.
Hank's career, my career, the last 42 years was built on this.
Along with some nifty choreography and a guitar classic.
One record changed the world, really, for all guitar players. We were backing Cliff on his records, Cliff and the Shadows, but we then had a separate career as the Shadows making monster hits.
It wasn't long before Hank's matinee idol looks led him to the big screen, and pretty soon he was even on the box.
Oh, Horatio, how could I leave you when you're still in the middle of a bottle?
Eh? Oh, no, that's not bottle, that's battle.
But in 1968, Hank was deserted by his own shadow.
Sit down.
And I left, actually, because I was with Olivia Newton-John at the time and just wanted to spend more time. We'd had a solid 10 years. And I thought we'd done everything that, a pop group could do.
Well, not exactly everything.
Let me be the one who's loving you tonight.
Bruce and Olivia split, Eurovision came calling, and the Shads reformed.
Holds you tight, I knew it.
They came second.
I'll even bring along a magic move.
It was 1977, the height of punk. The Shads record label decided it was never mind the bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols.
We, quite honestly, couldn't see what all the fuss was about. We thought, who's going to buy this now, 1977?
EMI presents the unforgettable guitar music of The Shadows.
It did about 1.25 million albums in Britain, plus what it did abroad. And it was #1 for 6 weeks.
Apache.
We did a tour called the 20 Golden Dates, just to back up the album.
FBI.
Talked to some young guys who were into punk music, and we said, why are you here at our concert?
Foot tapper.
And they said, well, because your music is very economic. You know, it's not unlike the punk stuff. It's like 2 guitars, bass and drums. And to us, you're like the original punks in the music because it's got that very clear, pure economic sound.
The Shadows Guitar Greats. 20 great tracks for £3.35.
And punk wasn't the only radical musical form to see the guiding light of Hank.
The B-boys would come to the party, they'll stand on the side, you know, the breakers, and they would just, you know, you're doing your thing, you're throwing on your joints, but they're just waiting for that moment that you just break out with some Apache.
Apache was the national anthem of hip-hop.
So there you go. The godfather of gob, the most sampled riff in rap. And after inventing punk and hip-hop, Hank became a Jehovah's Witness and moved to Australia. But guess what? He still sounds exactly the same as he did 40 years ago, and he's still packing them in.
People tend to laugh at him as the great bespectacled nerd of British guitar music. But he spawned, you know, generations of players who wanted to sound like Hank to the extent that there are a number of equipment manufacturers in the UK who are getting by pretty much building equipment that lets you sound like Hank Marvin as a guitarist.
Wow, what a terrific group.
Yes, they always play at the Swinging Star. You see, they're way out.
And from